Okay, so I know I just did a video on my thoughts of the Nintendo Switch 2 yesterday, and going back through the Nintendo Direct, I found some things that I did originally miss because I probably wasn't paying attention to them, which I don't really pay attention to a lot of things. But there's this game share feature, which I think is actually a decent decent thing to do, because if one person has the game on a Switch 2 and these other consoles do not, you can local share them with these people who don't have the game on their console. I think that is pretty cool, and it's the exact same with just having a console normally. Um, this is fairly typical for most companies to do something like this. Um, I do like that the screen is bigger. Um, like it's pretty good, and that the sizing of the console, width-wise, when you're holding it side on, is the exact same. I highly rate that. That is very good. If we continue this video, it's got like there's I think it's like 2 or 3 times more like pixels. The frame rate on the Switch itself being 1080p instead of 720, which kind of did slow down the original Switch quite a bit, is a lot better. If we continue the video, 120 FPS for this handheld console that will run games at that can only run games at 1080p is very good. Well, when it's in handheld mode, that is great. The updated HDR to make things more vibrant compared to what the old console would have had, or if you turn off the HDR, I do like that. Um, the joystick being bigger and the SLSR buttons being bigger as well, which was a major issue, especially the SLSR buttons on the top of the Joy-Con controllers when you're holding them horizontally. That is a great touch, I do have to say, even though I sort of ragged on Nintendo yesterday about everything and the controllers. The one thing that I do agree with is the bigger SLSR buttons, because for people that have bigger hands, it is a very big struggle to hit the SL and SR buttons or just hold them down with how small they were. I don't know if it will show or if I've accidentally gone past it. Yeah, the magnetic Joy-Cons, which is very good. There's a little button or like a paddle at the back of the controller here, where this index, or this illustrated index finger is. That is a release thing. An issue with that being someone could accidentally hit it when they're playing handheld, because you usually hold your controllers where that magnetic release trigger is, and that can and might possibly become an issue. It just depends on how clumsy people are, which, knowing people, is very clumsy. Um, So that could possibly be an issue, and if it accidentally happens at the same time to both Joy-Cons and you're not fast enough to click them back together, or you're still holding the magnetic release triggers down, it could potentially smash the screen. So I reckon these could possibly be an issue. I'm not too sure. The controllers are a lot bigger. I do like that. I don't like how these bumpers and triggers are bigger when you're playing it handheld, like horizontally like this. I do like it when it's connected to the main controller part itself. But in this state, I'm not I'm not too sure if I like that they're bigger, because these ones, although they're a bit more, like, they hurt a little bit more on the hands depending on how you hold it, and these ones aren't because they're more smooth. There's more potential to click this in, and that could cause an input issue, depending on how tightly you're gripping the controller and how your hands sit on that controller. These are the bigger SL and SR buttons. I do like that compared to these tiny things. Absolutely useless. Now, this is what amazed me. Well, I wouldn't say amazed. It's more surprised me, because the Switch 2 already had gyro controls, which is what they implemented with the Wii, and then they brought that sort of back with the Wii U, and then they kept it going with the Switch. I do like the continuation for that. But mouse controls with with their gyro tech, having to hold it like this, I'm still very skeptical about it, because I don't know if they use the trigger as a right click or a left click, because it's on both controllers, so it's omnidirectional for people who are right and also for people who are left-handed, which is very good. However, this could also become a problem depending on what surface you're using this on, because then it could scratch the magnetic part of your Joy-Con, and then that could cause more damage. I'm not too impressed with this. I mean, it's a stretch, and kudos to Nintendo for trying. However, it's only for compatible games, which makes sense. But the bumper being very thin, and also with how big it is, I don't think that would be a good left click, right click type thing for a mouse, or for mouse usage. Because, like, it's not very big for your left click, and it could easily slip off into a right click, and that could become annoying. Also, with how thin this is compared to a mouse, which normally you grip with your whole hand over the top, so you have more support on or as a base on the mouse, and then you have both your index and your middle fingers on each of your left and right click. For this, because it's so slim, because it's only like 14 millimeters compared to a mouse, which is like about 7, 8 centimeters possibly on average, give or take, depending on what mouse you use. This will not work well, in my opinion, to begin with. It will take time for people to warm up to it, but I don't know. I do like the the new improved speakers because it will filter everything and it will go through its equalizers to make sure that everything sounds equal. It also has 3D surround sound. It sounds like I'm trying to promote this shit. I'm not. But it has 3D surround sound, which is good. However, there are headphones that don't support this. So I don't know how it will work. Majority of headphones do, but if you go out to like, excuse me, pardon me for that. But if you go out to like your local supermarket, and for example here in Australia, you go to like Kmart or Big W. The best example would just be Target. If you go out to like your Target or or like your Walmart or anything similar to that anywhere else in the world, and you get cheap headphones, majority of the time, those headphones will not support 3D surround sound because they are either mono or they are stereo speakers, which means they only go in one direction. They don't fully surround, so they don't give you that realistic feeling of like, oh, I can hear something on the right because it is fully on the right of me and I don't hear anything in the left. Vice versa. Or I can hear something behind me because it is slightly muffled but you can hear it. Same with something coming on frontwards. You can feel it. And as it fades across your screen, or as it fades across the screen, as this little demonstration will show, from this you can see that there is something going from right to left. If you have stereo headphones, you will hear it here, going to here, but you won't hear it wrap. You'll just hear it go. Well, it will go from right to left, which is how you would expect it to. But it doesn't wrap around. It just goes in a straight line, straight from one ear to the other, and it doesn't make a rapping noise, which it would do like in real life. If you have mono headphones, the sound is just there, and you can hear it in both headphones, and it doesn't sound like anything is passing by. It's just there. With 3D surround sound support, you will actually hear it from a distance on one side, and then as it comes closer, and then you will hear it swing around into the other one, or into the other in the other side, and then it will go away on that side. But it mainly depends on what headphones you have, in my opinion, or I think. This new stand, I think it's pretty okay, but it also looks quite flimsy. It just looks like plastic. Could easily be broken. Depends on if you're actually trying to pull it off, which I would recommend don't do that. It's got two USB-C ports. This one down here, it's like your main one for when you're plugging it into your TV port, so you can like charge your Switch. But then there's also this one up here, which is for the camera, which I still find very dodgy. I don't like the camera. As I said yesterday, I do not like the camera. But then there's also, well, it's still a USB-C cable, so you could plug it in when it's on its stand, and you can use it on what Nintendo have dubbed tabletop mode, which is a good thing, because then you can plug in your Switch to charge while you're still using it on your table. Now, this is a big thing for a lot of consoles. Storage space. You need to have a big storage space, and on PC, and well, on any system, you need big storage space to have more things on it. With the Switch, the original Switch, you only had 32 gigs. Not a lot. It's fairly small. You would be like your average laptop that you could get, like your average Acer, Samsung, whatever, HP laptop. But with the Switch, you get 8 times the storage space, which is great. This is awesome. However, this storage space is the exact same storage space that the Xbox One X had, and that was released in 2015. This is 10-year-old stuff. The current Xbox Series S, the base model, has 256 gigs. But the Series X edition has 512 gigs. So it already has double this. And then you can also add in different things to increase that size to even more. The PlayStation 5, I think it's the PS5 Pro, has like a terabyte of storage. Massive. Compared to this. This is could have been implemented into different things, but it's also hardware capability that was probably holding Nintendo back. And that's fine. However, this is useless. This is good, but it could be better. We get on to the loading time for the games, which is very good. The Switch 2 has faster loading time and saves your game faster compared to the original Switch, which is expected because it is newer compared to this. This came out in 2017. It is 8 years old. This theoretically should be slower than this. Sorry, my phone went off. I apologize for that. In PC mode, or not PC, in TV mode, it does support HDR. It does support 4K, which is good. However, it limits to 60 FPS, like a lot of things do, if you're using 4K. But if you're using 1080p, you can run your games at 120. It's more quality over quantity, if that makes sense. They've got a fan in the dock, which is good. That will fix a lot of the overheating issues that the original Switch had when it was released, because a lot of people complained that the original Switch would overheat too much and then shut itself down so much due to it overheating when it's in its PC port and even when it was in its handheld mode, because it didn't really have any fans in it that were powerful enough to cool down the whole console. So if you were using your Switch for too long, it would literally shut itself down to stop it from melting because it's overheating. This feature with the fan in the dock will help those issues tremendously, which is very good. Then there's this thing, and this sort of teaches everyone about the Switch, which is good, and it teaches everyone about the Switch too, and it gives you information that you don't know that you will learn, and it will even feature Easter eggs in this, which is good, because then you can learn more about the Nintendo Switch 2 with this little game type thing. I do approve of this. However, it's paid. You must pay for it. You can't buy it physically either. You must buy it on the Switch store. Again, makes sense. It's perfectly fine. But the fact that you must pay for it, and it doesn't come free with the game to teach people about the console itself, is a little bit scammy in my opinion. Because then it will actually drive people away from buying this game, like this little mini game, and almost rendering it useless due to the fact that if you want to even try and figure out little secrets and tidbits here and there about the Switch 2, people will not, because they must pay for it. And I'm not overly confident about that, because they also have little mini games, which is pretty cool. Like information about the Switch 2. They have, well, as I said, they have mini games, and this shows everyone how the whole mouse thing will work. And here it looks a little bit flimsy, from my personal opinion. I mean, this shot was also pretty flimsy. You could have just shot it straight into the cup. That's just me being pedantic. Pedantic. There we go. But this mouse thing looks very it doesn't look good, because another main issue about the original Switch was the gyro controls. For example, when Nintendo released Switch Sports, no one liked the gyro controls because they were too shaky, and then the controllers would not work properly. So hopefully this new console will fix said issues with not only that game but with others. But I'm hoping that this could do well, but I'm not certain. Still, just going through like all these new features, I'm still not feeling it. The game cards. Now, we move on to the new game cards. They are exactly the same as the Switch 1, the original Switch. However, these are now red instead of the old ones, which were just grey. The game codes themselves are also a little bit different, which makes sense. Another thing is you must have a SanDisk micro SD card or a Samsung micro SD card, and they have to be express. That's another issue. They must be micro SD express. If you have this original micro SD that would work with the Switch, it will not work. You will not be able to save your games, and you will not be able to keep your save data, because this will not work. It is not compatible. I don't know about that. You can transfer data, which is good, between the Switch and the Switch 2. And another thing is the new Pro controller, which looks basically the same, other than they added the C button at the bottom of the controller, as you can see there. Pun not intended. But then they also added these paddles on the back. Now, I have a controller for the Xbox Series S/X that I use for my PC. And this controller already has paddles on the back of it, as you will now hear. Those are my paddles on the back of my controller. These are different to my bumpers. My triggers are a little bit squeaky. I will need to WD-40 those one day. Eventually, I'll get to it. But this controller that I have is a wired controller made by PDP, and it has these paddles on the back of the controller that already do the exact same thing. Because you can, well, with these ones, you can map them to any button that you want, which is what this controller already has. And there have been a lot of controllers made by PDP that are the exact same for both Xbox and PlayStation, that are also available for PC, because they're wired. But this is not new, because with the original Xbox Elite Series controllers, they had the paddles. For the Xbox One, they had the paddles on the back, and you could customize them to be whichever buttons that you want. So then you could have like an extra button on the back. Now, these on the Pro Controller, for me, on my controller normally, they are a little bit intrusive, but if you sit your fingers right on it, it doesn't affect how you hold the controller too much. It can just get a little bit jarring for people that have never held a controller with back pedals on it, on the handles, and that is completely okay. So I'm not too sure about this. They've also got their USB-C port. They've got the power switch, I think. I don't know what that is. I think that could be a microphone, but I doubt it. You've got your LED bars to show which controller is which, for which player. You've got your sync button. I apologize for my chair being so squeaky. You've got your audio jack as well, which is kind of expected. Oh, here we go. So, I was literally saying before, I didn't know, like yesterday, I was saying before yesterday, or during yesterday's video, I didn't know when this console was being released. I thought it was going to be holiday season next year. Or this year, I mean, sorry. Or at the start of this year. And it seems like I was very wrong. Because as it says here, we have its release date. June 5th, 2025. And looking at the current dates, it is April 4th, when this video is going up. It is basically coming out in 2 months. Which makes me more skeptical about what we have seen, especially with the game chat. This video is like a lot longer, because I'm going more in depth with this. But I'm not very confident about the whole game chat thing now, especially with the release date, and I have no idea how long that. None of us know when that new open thingy for the game chat is. I forget what it's called. the open access. I don't know if it goes from release to March 31st. For people that do have the Nintendo Switch 2, I hope that it is, because then people can use it for longer. However, I don't know if that's how it will work. Now, this is a big thing as well. They have new expansions for this game, Mario Party Jamboree. I do think, in my personal opinion, they should have waited to release this game, because it came out earlier this year, like a couple months ago. But I personally think they should have waited to make this game alongside Mario Kart World the console release games, because then they wouldn't need to create a Nintendo Switch 2 thing. But another reason why I think that they did this was because people have already bought Jamboree, so people will need to now go out and buy Switch 2 edition, because then they get Jamboree TV, and I have no idea what Jamboree TV is, because this is like it's got new mini games, as we can see. Expands on the base Jamboree. New mini games. Sorry, my computer fan was heating up a little bit. I don't know why. It's got voice detection mini games. I think this is part of Jamboree TV. Not too certain. And then it's got this stuff. So Jamboree Switch 2 edition I think will be the one to use the camera, as it says here. This confused me when I saw this, because it's actually using a camera. So I don't think I like this, personally. I think this is a bit too much. It's like adding pointless things to a game just for the fun of it. So this Bowser Live thing, it's like battle modes, but it uses like the old, like what Xbox Connect would have done with the 360. Again, old, already outdated-ish stuff that has been done before. But I guess better, because it's Nintendo now. And it's kind of like minute to win it type stuff. Like balancing Goombas on your head. And it's like a 2v2 battle type thing. Interesting, I think. But then you've got these mini games where you have to use your mouse to shoot things. So this version of the game releases 2 or 3 weeks after the... No, wait. It releases in the next month, like the month after. Yeah, that's July. But then you've also got... Or you need to buy it on the eShop. So that's probably going to be even more money. I don't know what I think about this. So we'll have to find out. I don't know. But anyway, that will probably do it for my personal opinions and my reactions, my review, and my analysis on the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. I know this video is a lot longer than yesterday's, but I feel like there's more that needed to be said. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, make sure to leave a like. And if you would like to see more videos, make sure to subscribe. It is completely free, but you are not forced to do so. And if you do think about it, and you would like to subscribe, and you'd like to be notified about any videos that I will publish in the future, make sure to hit the bell, so you will be notified of any future uploads and whenever I post them. Just like yesterday, if you have any thoughts about my analysis, if you want to pitch your own ideas or argue against my own, feel free to leave a comment down below. I will be reading through all of them. There will be absolutely no judgment from me, and I hope if anyone else would like to argue, well, I don't want anyone to argue in my comments. But if anyone has any opinions, please let me know. I will be happy and open to any recommendations. Yeah, so that should do me for this analysis. So yeah, once again, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If you do subscribe, hit the bell, and I will be back for whenever I decide to upload again. It's a miracle that I've uploaded 2 days in a row, so don't expect the same consistency. I find it hard to record videos. Anyway, I'm waffling. Alright, I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.